Good afternoon. I'd like, sorry, one. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Housing Committee meeting of August the 20th at 1:03 p.m. Can I have the approval of the agenda? Everybody looked at it? Okay. Siobhan, and second by Tia. All in favor? We've got the adoption of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to go through that? Recommendation that the housing meeting held on July the 25th, 2024 be adopted. Siobhan, moved, and second by Malcolm. Okay, new business. Secondary dwelling units, staff report, secondary dwelling units. June Kwan, would you like to take over now?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. I prepared this slide and I first prepared for the two timeline working. One that describes the inception of this project, which according to the timeline, the 26th of April 2023, and that was the date of issuance of the expression of interest. I'm going to quickly move on to the 2024. To know the full background of the whatever that was 2023, but the important aspect about this engagement was that there was two opportunities where the public could participate and provide their feedbacks on the design that was prepared and selected. One was featured in February 1 to the 29th. That was the original feedback provision date that held for the month. Second opportunity for the public to provide the feedback has been provided on the 18th of July. That was the very date where we had the housing information session. And there was a small vendor we provided where people could provide their feedbacks. And I believe by two engagement and feedback sessions, we have 25 participants who read their selected the Going to the next slide, these are the 6 designs that was prepared by and publicly selected 3 designs, which were Garden Suite 1, Garden Suite number 2, and then Secondary Suite 1. There appears to be 4. I will going to explain it later, but these were the 4 designs that was prepared by the McDiarmid. All shapes. Here are 2 aspects that I would like to share in regards to the design submitted and selected for the McDiarmid design. So when we actually take a look at small adaptable suite, that is actually 3 iterations. So what we mean by that is that it's not the one design. We have to take a 1 iteration, and that will be considered as a 1 design.
Okay.
So technically speaking, they have prepared a 3 design by the small adaptable suite, and an additional, they prepared 6 designs in total. So public selection was a small adaptable suite, accessible suite, and L-shaped suite. And then those come with the options, which also means that we want to take a look at what kind of option that we want to choose, either to go with an option available or not going with an option available, because that's going to be 2 different.
Okay, so we need to break that down and just select one from where they've given us the more options. Okay. Through the chair. Through the chair.
I just wanted to, just because it's a public meeting, for you to explain the difference between adaptable and accessible, because I know this is going to make a difference on how I vote on which one we pick. So can you explain the difference between those 2 words?
I believe those very words has been selected by the designer. So it's probably the McDiarmid who decide to call that layout as a adaptable suite and the accessible suite. And my conjecture is that when I see the layout of the accessible suite, it features the accessibility ramp. Therefore, they probably named it as an accessibility suite. And when they say small adaptable suite, my conjecture is that the 3 iteration that was featured through that design is that there is a one form of a small footprinted detached dwelling unit. The other second iteration is a slightly bigger version of the smallest. And then the third is actually in form of a coach house. So like a garage floor, and then on top of it, there is a secondary suite feature. And seeing that, I think they just named it as adaptable suite because it comes with the 3 iterations.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Through the chair, so accessible means that it's probably wheelchair or scooter or someone with a walker can get in and out, and it will be wide enough that they can get around that unit. Where adaptable more means that, just to paraphrase, just so I'm clear, adaptable doesn't necessarily mean that it's open to someone that's got a walker or something like that. It's not going to have wider halls or something, where the accessible one is.
I believe so.
Okay, just so we're clear.
I think, yeah, the adaptable means you can just adapt it to these 3 different designs. You've got a little bit more function in playing with the design. So
Perfect, thank you.
Through the chair. In one of our conversations with McDermott, they did say that was part of it, was that they would be able to adapt to your needs specifically, or whatever, that they didn't have to set in stone what that was, is what they had said in that meeting.
others, you could have it, or you could have it over the garage, or over a garage too. Or
Well, just some of the,
Accessibility.
yeah.
yes, Malcolm?
Yeah, the accessibility part. So I think we shouldn't be swayed by the word adaptable or accessible. Either company is accessible, can be accessible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so.
Yeah, so just to additionally note on the term adaptable suite that was used by the proponent. If we were to select one iteration as it will be considered as one design, it is kind of, from my perspective, the planner's perspective is, it may be better for them to use a more specific word. Like, for example, if we were to pick the 3rd iteration, which takes the form of the coach house, then instead of us calling it as an adaptable suite, I personally rename it as a coach house, small footprint coach house.
Okay.
I think they just meant to say that this design has some kind of like a variance, like an optional spatial options that it provides. So once we select it, then it needs to be further defined than just being referred to as a adaptable suite. And accessible suite, I believe, further to your comment, I believe, because of it has that accessibility ramp, it will likely to be required to meet the BC building code for the accessibility, like width and then the turning radius and all this stuff. So that is something that the architect will figure it out, and then our building officers help the feedback may be provided further. But as a planning staff, for me, it's good enough. As long as it features the accessibility ramp for the like elderly citizens or the people who are disabled. This appears to be the only design amongst the 12 design that was provided that features that very option.
Exactly.
Through the chair, just as far as the adaptable goes, my understanding from that meeting was that, for instance, like the carport side of it, based on your property, could be reversed. You know, like could be on the other side. It was, or the shape of the L, you know, type of thing would be based on where your property, how your property was laid out. That's what I took from their adaptable, you know, as far as the footprint of the building was what it was, but those types of things could be adapted to your property.
Well, if I were to add one more thing, like
yes, please.
In general, when planner reviews on the footprint or the siting of the these accessory detached units, what planner usually focuses on is not really an orientation of the building. So like L shape can be located in this manner or other manner, but it just needs to meet the setbacks, and then there's another planning related requirement. So like whether they flip the like blueprint of the building or not, it's not really a concern of the planner. It's more of a setback, building separations, and the footprint. Which leads to the next slide, because I'm glad that you inquired, because this is just for them. So feasibility of the accessory dwelling units are governed by the several factors, and these are the top 5 that I believe that it is the feasibility of ADU. First is a minimum ADU footprint requirement. So our zoning bylaws of today stipulates that its minimum square footage of the ADU detached form should have a 33 square meter, which is approximately a 355.2 square feet. The next is the size of the existing primary dwelling. So our zoning bylaw, because of its stipulates that the maximum footprint of detached ADU should be less than 45% of the already existing primary dwelling unit. The size of the ADU will be governed by the already situated house. The next is the maximum parcel coverage, along with the general planning setback requirement and building separation minimum 3 meters. The last one that I just mentioned, the building separation, is the one that we recently added through the amendment bylaw 1073 that's related to the housing.
Okay.
So this is one of the examples that I prepared. So it's a typical like a tree street district of Sikamus lot. And then the arrangement, the layout of a primary dwelling here is quite favorable, in a sense that this is probably the easiest lot layout for us to plump the ADU in. So one of the important aspects I mentioned was the setback and building separations. So detached accessory dwelling unit follows the accessory setback requirement that of applicable zoning requirement. This is the building separations. So it's minimum distance between the existing primary dwelling to that of the closest facade of the ADU.
It's 3, yes.
Do you measure that from the overhang or from the walls?
Walls. Anything that has a structural aspect to it. Overhang.
Okay, just curious. Okay.
3 meters from the closest building facade to the another dwelling's building facade. Based on these 5 considerations or the factors affecting the feasibility of the ADU, as reflected through the staff reports, the suggestion was first, pick 2 secondary suites. Pick 1 design in form of detached ADU that has the smallest footprint. Pick the accessible suite. Pick at least 1 detached ADU that provides a 2-bedroom configuration. Pick at least 1 ADU in the form of a coach house where the dwelling portion is located above the garage. So here are some rationales why staff has recommended in that regard. So first, we'll talk about pick 2 secondary suite. So right now, if we require the 6 based on the public participation, then it will only provide 1 layer. So if there is a people who are interested in improving their property through having secondary suite, having 1 option may not be that sufficient. And then one aspect that I would like to further point out is that secondary suite design number 1 provides 1 bedroom, whilst the secondary suite design number 2 provides 2 bedrooms. So having that variety of and flexibility of if the person wants to take like a small bedroom 4, then they may be inclined to consider secondary suite number 2 as it provides a 2-bedroom than the other. I would also like to mention the adaptability. of the secondary suite depending on its frontal and sagittal proportion. When we hear that term, it's kind of hard to know what it means, but here is the example. So this is the existing house somewhere from the district. And then if we were to, let's say, like in this particular case, they may be having a hard time using the design that has a layout that is attached to the side of the house. So if we can provide the design that where the secondary suite is attached from the behind of the property, then in a case like this, where this option may not be feasible due to the setbacks and then the building separation, this layout would be efficient. So having two secondary suite layout could address this type of a situation, giving more opportunity to the community members with the lot layout that may be hard to feature either one of them. And this is another example. So this is the house that has a wider where the attaching the secondary suite to the side of the house may not work. In that case, they have to attach from the behind of the house. This one is the case where they have a lot of room from the side to side, but they may not have a lot of room on the back. So in this case, if there's a two of them provided, they can consider to acquire the one layout that allows them to attach the secondary suite to the side of the house. They should be able to make the layout feasible.
Okay. I just have a question. So what you're recommending then that this secondary suite housing is the only one that's labeled them as secondary suites.
Yes.
So, so they are, and McDermott they're all standalone, correct?
Yeah, from the planner perspective.
Okay.
There's no secondary suites by the back.
Right, okay.
It comes from the house.
Okay, then I would say that, so the top three here, you need to pick secondary suite 1, and you're recommending we also pick secondary suite 2. So it gives an alternate option for positioning on current. Okay, okay. So in other words, either remove garden suite 1 or garden suite 2 and go with 2 secondary suites. Is that right? Is that kind of what you're recommending?
Yes, it would be ideal from my perspective to have 2 secondary suites, giving more options, not only, but also the spatial layout wise as well.
Right, okay. So we just need you're recommending we alter and pick one of the others in those 2 in that. Okay, all right, so no, that's good. So I understand. Is everybody kind of clear with that on that particular? Okay.
Going to the next aspect that was recommended, which was a pick one design in form of a detached ADU that has the smallest footprint. So this is the snip of the community of the Sycamores. It's near the Tree Street. And then as we can see, the lots are relatively more modest. And then if there is a situation where the house is already positioned somewhere between the midpoint of the parcel, like for example, L-shaped layout that was proposed by the McDermott because of its layout and conventional setback requirement. Any ADU that has a relatively larger footprint or has a unique shape will be hard to fit within the smaller parcels. Therefore, it may not benefit the most majority of parcels exist. So my personal recommendation, therefore, would be pick at least one design in the form of a detached additional dwelling unit that has the smallest footprint to it.
Questions? Okay, so is that for the small adaptable suite then? You would ask from McDermott. There's 1, 2, there's 3 options there on the small adaptable suite. Is that correct?
Or housing.
There are
McDermott. Under McDermott.
Oh, okay.
So they've got 4 different variations or 3 different variations, is that correct?
So if I may add,
Yes.
because of, it's advisable that we, or the proponent, be mindful of a minimum square footage requirement for ADU, which is a 365 square feet, which means that if we were to select or pick, let's say 2-story cube that is designed by the McDermott, which appears to have a footprint of 324 square feet, which is less than what we are stipulating as a minimum. So what they may add may mean is that if we were to select that very design, we may need to further update our zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum square footage requirement if we were to select that. Without update, I believe the smallest design that we can pick is a small adaptable suite designed by the McDermott, the first iteration.
First. 325, is it hard to read?
Yeah, it is. It's hard to read the square footage.
326 square feet. So do you not consider on the cube one, you're saying that it's less than the required square footage? Do you not include the square footage on the second floor for that unit?
So when planners look at the like a site plan submitted by the proponent,
right,
we usually look at the foundational footprint.
Okay.
So like when they calculated the these 2 designers, when they calculated the floor area, they are usually referencing the like a sum of the bedrooms, kitchens, living room, and like porches and stuff, where the planner's focus is more on the foundation. So if it's stacked like 2 stories, what I personally carry is more of a like a foundation, the ground level footprint.
Okay.
Yeah, so on McDermott's, the cube building is small square footage, but for the footprint, but for living space, it's got 547 compared to the top left adaptable suite of 200 or 325. So that's interesting. It's got a smaller footprint, but larger, more living space.
If I may.
Yes.
The difference between that print is derived from the fact that the 2-story cube has a 2-story, whilst the smallest iteration designed by the McDermott has like a single story. It's like a bungalow.
Yeah.
Additional note is that if we were to, let's say, consider 2-story cube or small adaptable suite, the smallest iteration, or let's say garden suite, from the planner's perspective, whichever design that community picks, it's fine. But one aspect that I would like to provide for the vote is that we may also need to consider the atmosphere of the community, in a sense that, for example, if we were to pick the 2-story cube that has a more of a what I would call modernist design, and it's a 2-story, it's going to create the atmosphere that is very different to introducing a single level, like a cottage-like structure. So if we were to select the design, then we also may think about what the community said through the official community plan.
Okay, Siobhan.
Through the chair. Yeah, just to follow up on that, June, I know we had an issue with that. I think it was last year, maybe Malcolm can remember, out at 2 Mile, where someone actually, we passed where someone could change their zoning and someone put a suite above a garage, and then the neighbor felt quite intruded on because people were like living over top of him. And then we had to deal with some fencing issues and things like that. So I think that's another thing. I know that the tree streets, that the lots are 2/3 of an acre generally, like they're big lots for Vancouver, but for Sicamous, with people that have been here, they've come for kind of that space. And I think putting, we need to be really cognizant when we're putting another family into someone's yard, that we're not just putting it into their yard, we're putting it on three sides of them also. So I think with the cube, that's something we really need to, because we've already run into that problem in Sycamoose, where we have put someone on the top thinking that we were adding housing, and then the neighbor came back and went, you're looking at me, I feel I need help here. And so we worked on fencing and some different things, and they worked together, and it was worked out. But yeah, we got to consider our neighbors on putting the cube in, the 2-story cube. And change is good, and we need to move forward, and we need to infill, and I'm all for that also, but respectfully.
My comment would be, it's another 2-bedroom alternate design, which I like. And I feel like if we're just doing 1 bedrooms, that's accommodating 2 people, where this is more if you want to provide housing where you've got maybe 2 couples sharing or a young family, there's more options for that particular, not that people will choose them, but in the design, perhaps on the windows, because they don't have anything drawn in on the walls. So I feel like that can maybe address it. I get that point of view, though, that the neighborhood it might not be received as well, but I still think it's a healthy mix to have more than 1. Pia, you have any more comments?
No, just for clarification, though, we are looking at these properties, though, that have a smaller area.
Right.
Right. So then that's what your recommendation is, to look at the smaller units.
Footprint.
The intent of this recommendation is to, personally, I see this project, the pre-approved plan housing library, to be the project that anticipates and intends to benefit the most majority of the community. So from that aspect, my recommendation is to pick the smallest, so that if there is a property owner who are interested in additional dwelling unit, but having a hard time come up with a design that could actually fit it into the property without going through a development variance permit or all different higher degree of a planning permit, there is a benefit that one will be derived by this choice. Therefore, the recommendation was made that way.
Okay, Siobhan?
And through the chair, I spent a lot of time looking at these and looking into them. The other thing we really need to think about is, who are we? So, I don't know if we're trying to fill the missing middle on this one, which is, a big housing term now. We're not specifically trying, are we specifically? I guess that's a decision. When I look at this, I'm not really trying to bring more families into subdivision. When I look at these secondary suites, I either see a young couple or a student who doesn't want to live with his parents, or a single person coming in to work in town, or I see where my parents or my neighbor's parents aren't ready to go into a senior's home, and that's it. Because if you bring a family into there, you're now bringing 2 cars, extra cars at least, into that neighborhood. You're doubling. If you put 4 people in there, we're now doubling up on our sewer and water. So again, we just need to be really cognizant. I know that Surrey is really struggling with this, where, the BC government has come down and said, you guys have to infill like this. And a lot of single family neighborhoods that have been set as single family neighborhoods are now being opened up to 6plexes. But what's happening is the sewer, the parking, the schools, none of the infrastructure is there to support it. So I'm not sure, in my opinion, I don't know if our garden suites or secondary suite plans are really there to look after families. I think that's more in, our new units that are going in on Main Street. And, we've got a gentleman coming in from Temple that's going to present and put some really cool places in there. And maybe that's more family, where this is more you know, one or two people in the garden suite supporting a mortgage that's coming up, or maybe supporting your Palm Spring dreams, right? That you've got someone living in your back property and looking after your home, and you're still getting an income. That's kind of how I see it. So that's just my opinion on that. But I don't know if trying to set these up for full families, and then we're looking at parking, schools, sewer and water, which will all be affected if we're putting 4 people into someone's backyard instead of 1. And they flush more. Like there's just 4 people flush more than 1. So that's just me. So I'm leaning towards kind of the 1 bedrooms and, you know, grandma's back there.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the infill housing is more designed for that as well, not for families, but for a senior, like you said, mother, you know, put in and then the family moves into the home, you know, like almost like a trade out kind of thing. And we got to look at affordability per square foot as well for people to even consider doing this. So the smaller is kind of my weight that I'm kind of weighing towards as well.
All right, so my only other comment on that would be it costs less to build up than it does to spread out. So the cost per square foot is more as a bigger bang for the buck, typically. But so if we were to let's hone in and then on the small adaptable suite and kind of make a decision. Are we sticking with the L-shaped suite or not? Because if we don't, because you're saying that it's probably less adaptable to lots than we, as a planner, then yes, it's a nice design, but it's probably very few that could take advantage of that. Then maybe we do add in the 2-story cube for the sake of adding in the 2-story cube as an option, our 1 adaptable suite, and then the 1 accessible suite, which they've given us. So we can just move forward and make this decision? Is that what you're asking for? So we need to kind of vote on one of these iterations, this one for sure, and then decide then whether or not we decide to go with the L shape or the 2-story cube. And staff is recommending that we move away from the L-shaped suite. Correct?
Yes. So
Recommending.
Yeah, I'd suggest that we use this sheet here,
Okay,
start at the top and vote as we go
Okay.
down.
sounds good. What sheet is that? Where'd you find it?
Yeah.
Okay,
We've got everything summarized on it. We can just start at the top and vote
okay,
as a committee and
Right.
down.
that's good. Okay, sorry.
I don't know.
if I may, there are still other considerations, and then it actually explains about the aspect that the carers and then the counselors reference. So if I may,
Okay, I'm sorry.
so that was going on to the second. Yeah, accessible. This, from my perspective, as this is the only design that provides the accessibility aspect.
Yeah.
I personally recommend this design to the updated. And then additionally, based on the public's preferred design, this I believe made it to their list as well. That's just the one comment. One thing that I would like to note is that it comes with the options. So there is a option for featuring a carport that is attached to the design that will going to increase a footprint of 270 square feet. So considering the fact that from the planner's perspective, considering the fact that this design, I'd like it to be able to be placed within the most majority of the lot. My personal recommendation would be to select the blueprint without that carport option, so that we retain and then retain is a relatively modest footprint. Of the footprint is that some properties may not have a sizable house. So what I mean by that is that some house in the Sycamus is relatively small. And then as we discussed previously, there is a 45% square footage requirement. So for example, if the house does not have a certain footprint that allows this amount of this design of the ADU, I believe, according to my very brief calculation, that's 418 square feet without the garage addition, approximately 418 square feet. So if there is a house that is, let's say, 700 square feet or 650 square feet, like relatively modest size, you'll be having a hard time, having this option as an ADU because of it would not suffice or satisfy 45% minimum requirement. I mean, the maximum requirement, sorry. Therefore, the recommendation is to pick the one without an option so that we can make its footprint remain smallest as possible for this particular option.
So
Yes, Malcolm?
if we could go back to that, that slide there, please. So the middle house is the reference?
So the first two are the rendering showing the
No carport.
case if there is no carport attached. And this is the one that shows the one with the carport.
But the middle house has more living space than the first house.
I believe it's just the on the other side.
It's two different views.
Yeah, two different views.
Same house with different.
Yeah.
They are
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, yes, Siobhan, thank you.
Through the chair. June, what is we're at step 3 for code now, but we're going to 4. What is the accessibility? Is the BC government dropping that down to us? So we're looking, I really like the accessibility and I'm like, check, absolutely need to do that one. But are we going where everything's going to have that? Is that dropping down?
I'm not certain.
Okay,
But
sorry.
it is. I wouldn't be surprised. But architectural code and BC building code.
Yeah.
As the time goes by, it always be incorporated. So it gets stricter, more specific every time when it gets updated. So eventually as I don't claim to have such knowledge at this point of time, I have to invest more time to see if that actually is the case or not. But the general tendency is that the restrictions or the regulations get more stricter.
It's coming. It's coming.
I'm not very physical, but it's a logical thing that it will get downloaded to us eventually. So next is the one that is relevant to the what Chair previously mentioned. So this recommendation is to take at least one detached ADU that provides a 2-bedroom layout. So right now, I believe there are, excluding L-shaped design, there are only 2-bedroom layout options that we can choose that exist in form of a detached dwelling unit. So similar to the earlier discussion, it would be, if we were to select the 6th design, at least having an option of here is a detached dwelling unit providing 1-bedroom option. And here is another option that you may choose if you have a larger family or larger need that provides 2-bedroom. So this recommendation is to pick at least one ADU in detached form that provides 2-bedroom options. So according to the received drawings, what could possibly qualify for that would be one designed by the house and garden suite number 2. The other is a 2-string cube by McDermott. And then this again is going back to the discussion that Councillor earlier mentioned about the form and then whether we like to have a 1-story versus 2 stories. They are providing 2-bedroom in terms of a program. They provide a 2-bedroom in the form of a detached ADU, but we need to, the community to think about the atmosphere that the further form of the buildings will create. Is there any session?
So basically you feel like 1 2-bedroom is sufficient to have within as an alternate? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Just a little bit, at least, yeah, okay,
At least one.
okay.
I have to take a look at the, what public preferred. Based on the 6 design that is selected by the public, I believe there is no. Actually, there is one design that provides a 2-bedroom detached ADU format. Suite. There's another one, L-shaped suite, that also provides a 2-bedroom layout.
Oh, okay.
If we were to exclude L-shaped, there will be only one design that provides a 2-bedroom detached ADU. That's a garden suite number 2 design.
Already. Okay.
So in regards to this aspect, one additional thing that I would like to note is that if this is the decision rendering moment between okay, should we go with the garden suite 2, 2-story cube, considering the like atmosphere that we're going to bring and then the different architectural formatting of the structure. Another aspect that I would like to mention is its footprint. So garden suite, because of it's not stacked, its foundational footprint, I think, is about 847 square feet, whilst the 2-story cube is relatively more compact, 320 square feet. So for some properties, if the parcel is small but wants to have let's say 2-bedroom options, they may not be able to feature the garden suite number 2. Rather, they may need to choose the 2-story cube as it has a compact footprint. So that's something.
Okay.
Community may need to be.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll end up with 6 designs that we're picking today, but that doesn't restrict the public from going to McDermott or Housing and saying, hey, can I get a design for a 2-story cube, right? I mean, we weren't, our intent here is to have a plan library with 6 designs. That doesn't stop the public from doing whatever they want.
No, but I would assume that that's more of a like a acquisition question about what design that we pre-approve. So if they specifically wants to go to the firm just to acquire the other option that they incline more, then they are advised to do so. However, it's just the fact that it may not be considered as a pre-approved design, therefore it may take slightly longer application process time.
Okay,
Right.
approval process.
Yeah, so it's not part of the approved plan library, but they can go to McDermott, Housing, or anybody and tell a contractor, I want to put a house in my backyard and bring those plans to yourself for approval and council, whatever, for approval. So I'm just saying, we picked 6 houses to pursue as our plan library that stamp for construction, if you will, subject to offsets or setbacks. That doesn't stop the public from doing still whatever they want and still bringing their own plans to the district for approval.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
On Housing, or no, McDermott, the small adaptable suite, the second one, optional loft, it's a little bit larger option. Couldn't that be, I mean, with the optional loft, you know, be something that they could put a second bedroom, basically have that then in that, and a little bit bigger at 400 and what is it, 18 or square feet compared to the 325.
I believe that's this.
Second one over.
It's the second one,
Yeah, second one over.
but both of them do have the optional loft on them. I mean, that would maybe suffice a second bedroom.
So, and could we pick 2 out of there and just leave the L shape and the 2-story cube?
Right.
Pick 2 from the small adaptable suites, 1 with the loft plan, 1 without. That might make more sense.
It's completely up to
and
discretion.
yeah, no, but does that kind of makes more sense? Yeah, good point, Tia. Yeah.
I mean, really, you could just pick one of those and you have the optional loft on either one, really.
Oh. We need to pick.
We need 3.
We're only going to pick 1, but we need 3. So that would mean we could pick 2 options, and that's probably the most practical way to approach it. so that the loft is there should they want to use it. Okay, do you want to continue?
So this is the fifth and the last recommendation, which was that take at least one ADU in form of a coach house, where the dwelling portion is located above the garage. The intent of this recommendation is, if the garage is situated on the garage, then it makes its structure's foundational footprint relatively more compact compared to the one that is attached to the side of the garage, which would inevitably have a larger footprint. So these are the three designs that could be classified as a coach house. So option number one is a carriage house one designed by the housing. Option number two is a carriage house designed by the housing also, but the difference is that the carriage house number one, the dwelling portion is of the garage, whilst the carriage house number two, the garage portion is attached side to the dwelling portion. The third option that is available is a small adaptable suite iteration of suite that is designed by the McDermott. The reason why the community may be advised to pick at least one ADU in form of coach house is because of first, it's compact, and then by its nature, it comes with its own off-street parking spaces. So it's beneficial for the, let's say, the parcel that is small, therefore may not have a available off-street parkable area. So in that case, this kind of the housing could be quite beneficial. One side note that I may provide is that if there is a debate between, let's say, carriage house number two or carriage house number one, it may be advisable to pick a carriage house number one, as carriage house number two has a larger footprint, therefore it may be harder to situate without a variance, or may not meet the 45% footprint requirement for the ADU. And then this is just a quick summary of available designs. And that's last slide. Where I'm just summarizing that there are three options today, which is that first, keep the previous resolution, which I believe was that we recommend the council to pick the design that was selected by the public. Second option is to incorporate the previous resolution by having a discussion today and consider the staff's recommendation and then make a slight amendment to the resolution previously made and then forward it to the council's attention. The third is defer matter to the staff.
Okay. Thoughts? And yes, Malcolm?
Sorry, could you repeat what's a current resolution?
Through the chair, I can speak to that. So based on the public engagement, the designs that the committee recommended to council for housing is Garden Suite 1, Garden Suite 2, Secondary Suite 1. And then for McDermott, the small adaptable suite, accessible suite, and the L-shaped suite. And he's June has highlighted them with the orange there on this document.
Yes.
Through the chair, June, for clarity, could you speak specifically then to the staff recommendation as to, so what staff is recommending be removed and replaced with? Just for clarity.
Yeah, I think it's embedded within the staff report that our team submitted.
Okay.
So I think if the subtraction method is easier, staff would recommend the L-shaped suite to be removed from the consideration due to its shape, the larger footprint. Staff recommends the accessible suite to be included for the final 6 design, as it is the only option that provides accessibility option. should the committee and or the council considers that design to be included in the final six, staff's recommendation would be acquire the blueprint, carport option. For shooting steps perspective is that as long as the committee and or the council picks at least one design, whichever that is provided, regardless of a firm that prepared, doesn't really matter from the planning steps perspective, but as long as there is a one bedroom detached ADU that has the smallest footprint possible, that should be sufficing the first recommendation. And then pick 2 secondary suites. So that means that from the housing, the housing design, the community will be recommended to acquire 2 secondary suite options. One providing 1 bedroom layout, the other providing 2. And then select one coach house that has a dwelling portion entirely located above the garage. So whichever that community picks, that's okay. But it's just, there is a preference from the planning staff that at least one coach house needs to be selected. Just quickly mentioning, our zoning bylaws of today has a series of the format in terms of ADU. Sometimes it takes a form of a cottage house, sometimes it takes of a coach house, sometimes it takes of a secondary suite. Therefore, just to align better and concur better to our OCPN and zoning bylaw, it's advisable for the planning staffs to recommend what aligns the best with the bylaw and OCP. Therefore, I say, I haven't said
That's okay.
I kind of forgot, but the recommendation of the planning staff in general consider the alignment with the OCPN and the zoning bylaw. So zoning bylaw has a 3 format of an additional dwelling units. So if we were to implement the recommendation, 5 recommendations, and then implement those methodology to pick final 6, it should provide 3 spectrums of the ADU community could be benefited.
Okay. So are we ready to, do you want to choose between, you don't get to talk, but yes, you can, it's an app. We'll waive that, go ahead, what do you want?
Just down here. That for the suites that will be attached potentially to houses, there's going to be an engineering requirement for that because you're cutting into an existing building, and we have to make sure that that particular wall can take the load of the roof. So there'll be an engineering requirement for that. So that's something we'll work for other people. They are attaching to an already built dwelling, as well as BC code changes in relation to the property line. So the closer that a structure gets to the property line, some of the requirements change as far as vented soffit, cladding has to equal up to a certain fire resistance rating. So there'll be a plan library of mostly reviewed structures, but there's going to be some site specific things that we'll need to address. So just a box where that changes to the plans if you need.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So of the 3 choices that we've got, can you go to your final page, June?
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, that one. So what, does the committee feel they want to do? A, B, or C? Malcolm?
I think we have to vote first and then depending on our selection, then go back to this.
Okay. Is that? Yes, Siobhan?
Through the chair, I mean, we can just defer the matter to the staff. I feel pretty confident in the information that June has given us, and I think he's given us great explanations, and for me, I concur with everything he's saying, so I feel like staff pretty much knows what we need here and kind of what the public has and has weighed everything in to suit Sycamoose and suit the folks that have come out and did our reviews and read through all our stuff. I feel really confident in just saying, yes, it's in your hands.
If I may, I personally believe that the community knows what is best for the community. So what I have provided through this presentation today is more of a it's rather a technical comments which I may not know what community wants. Like for example, similar to what Tyson said, if community were to know the fact that there may be an engineer's report or the vetting required for the secondary suite 1 or 2, would they be inclined to select the secondary suite or rather to just go with the detached AD, which I don't know as I'm not a community. So go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
If I may, yeah, exactly. We would like consideration, we would like your endorsement. So if you were to provide recommendations that gave us that direction, we would really appreciate that.
Okay. Sarah?
Through the chair. So there was the previous recommendation from the committee, but you can make a new recommendation and just, it'll layer on top. So we would just bring this new recommendation to council. We have, the design agreements ready to go. They've been looked at by the designers, and then the committee provides their recommendation to council. Council considers that recommendation. If council blesses it, we move forward with the construction drawings and start getting this library going.
Okay, Malcolm?
Yeah, I agree with Daryl and Sarah. I think we should, as a committee, give direction to staff. I mean, why are we a committee? We're not giving direction. And it's just a recommendation. So I think we should make a recommendation to council on what we choose here today.
Okay. Tia, you?
I kind of got hung up on the engineering part of it as well. With the carriage house 1 and 2 being that I would think that the carriage house 2 may be more of a recommendation over the number 1, only because the engineering might be less impactful as putting something on top of a house as putting it behind it. Just my own thoughts on that.
Okay, I think the carriage house 1 is a garage with a unit above it. So it's a new building. It's a new standalone structure. Is that correct?
It's on top of, isn't it on?
Carriage house?
It'd still be considered as attached if it's an existing
Oh, okay.
garage and you're building on top. Yeah, so there would be, from what, and I'm not an expert, but from what the building official said, that it would, if it's attached, it would have an engineering requirement. I guess my question is that part of the pre-approved process? That engineering piece, or is that?
No, also if I may, through the chair.
Yeah.
My understanding when I don't claim myself to be an architect, like in a
Yeah.
design. When I look at the layout of the carriage house 1, it's like completely separated ADU. Like it's not
Yes.
garage and then
Yeah.
something
Okay.
on top of it. And then can we go with the carriage house 1? It's going to be completely separate built there.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was.
It's not
Exist.
as an addition. It's a completely separate entity.
Right.
Okay.
It's a garage with a living space above it, standalone, brand new.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
that's how I saw it.
All right. Good. Thanks for that clarification. Okay.
Okay, so then wanting us to just vote and then make the recommendation?
That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, all right. So so I guess we're doing B. Voting to, and then making an amendment. That what you're, yeah, okay,
Vote and then a new resolution, a new recommendation to council
okay,
based on the vote.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want a few minutes to just go through individually, pick the 6 you want?
I'm good.
You're good, you've done it already?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you? Wait a minute. Oh, look at you guys. You too? Yeah. I'm the only one who, well, I don't even need to vote. He gets the chair, right? Okay, give me,
Let's just go through the list and see how we roll.
okay. So, let's go Garden Suite 1. Is that on anybody's list?
We're on, Hanson, right, Hanson?
We're on housing, yes.
Okay.
Garden Suite number 1, okay, that's 3, 4, so I don't even need to write anything down. But I'm in favor, okay, Garden Suite 2. Okay,
There was 2 out of 6.
Carriage House 1. Okay, so that's Siobhan. 1 and Carriage House 2. 0. Secondary Suite 1.
3.
3. Secondary Suite 2.
The 3.
So it's the same as previous.
That's always handy.
Okay, so that means we've eliminated that 2-bedroom option. Okay, secondary Suite 2, I vote. Only 1. Okay. So now we move to McDermott. So of the small adaptable suites, 1 bedroom with optional loft.
Just ask one.
Yes, first, yeah.
With this, we could use 3 votes all for small adaptable? Is that kind of what we're doing, is breaking down these 4? Or is small adaptable its own thing and we still can adapt to it? Because that was my confusion. So out of the 4 that are here, are we picking 3 or small adaptable is now broken down 4?
Small adaptable, if I'm correct, or maybe you just clarify that. We were only going to pick 1 of those, correct? Or we could pick 2. And if we pick 3 of those, then we get nothing else.
We got 3 left to pick.
Yeah,
We already
there's 3
picked
left to
3.
pick. So let's just say the accessible suite from McDermott. Accessible, that's wheel.
Jumping around here a bit.
Yeah, we are, because we do want that one. So I feel like we need to.
There's accessible, so there's
Okay,
1.
so that's-
So we have 2 units left to vote on.
Right, so. When you take a look at that and considering what we've talked about and been presented to us, I think. Maybe we pick 2 out of the small adaptable. That covers off on like the loft one,
Yep, I agree.
so, right, okay. So we've got a 1 bedroom. With a loft option. We've got the small adaptable 1 bedroom with a loft option, so there's 2 of them. The first 2 on the left are identical, are in essence.
They're the
With
same,
loft options.
but one of them is bigger.
1, which means 1 smaller, yes.
Okay, one's 418 square feet, one's 326 square feet.
And sorry, through the chair, I think the recommendation, June, correct me if I'm wrong, was option 1 is the smallest square footage.
That's what staff was looking for.
That's what staff
Right.
is recommending.
Either design, whichever design, doesn't really matter, but.
We're fulfilling that smallest square footage.
It's smaller than that would have to change though, right? You were saying that it's a little bit smaller than what the
Bylaw.
minimum bylaw is,
Yeah.
correct? For a small.
What I can offer right now is once the decision has been rendered, say if there is a list is completed from right now the committee to prefer the six
Mhm.
designs, then I will quickly take a pic and see if it would align with the what.
Okay, with your, okay, all right, that sounds fair. Okay, so is it option one from the small, the first one, the second one, or the third one?
Well, let's vote.
Let's vote. Okay, so the one bedroom, the smaller one? Okay, three it is. So then do we want to select, small adaptable? You don't want the same one, so let's go to the one with the garage. The one bedroom suite above the garage, small adaptable suite.
Where's that?
That's the third one on there.
Third one down with.
Third plan from small adaptable suites, you've got they're the two pictured on the right. The garage and then the one bedroom suite above it. And then you see the elevation view on McDermott below it.
Oh, this is McDermott, okay.
So we're voting on a small adaptable suite, one bedroom with the garage
Mhm.
Above the garage, oh, okay.
Yeah, above the garage. Everybody,
Right, yeah.
okay. Yes, no, you vote. Okay, so three, okay.
What were you looking at?
Okay, so we've got
And groceries up steps.
I like that it provides a garage option. So we've got then garden number one, garden suite number two, and secondary suite number one.
Mhm.
Okay, and from McDermott, we've got small adaptable suite, the smaller option. We've got the small adaptable suite, one bedroom over a garage,
Mhm.
and we've got the accessible suite.
Yeah.
Those are the results. Yay. Okay, so let's make, can you create the recommendation, or does somebody want to make the recommendation that we put?
I'll just say, that, so the committee recommends, council select X, Z from housing,
Okay,
and then recommends, council select X, Y, Z from McDermott.
okay. You want to write that down? So I can read it. Okay, I'll say it then.
Yes.
All right. So, the housing committee recommends from the housing selection provided, we recommend garden suite number one, garden suite number two, and secondary suite number one. From McDermott, we recommend small adaptable suite, one bedroom with optional loft, smaller unit. We recommend the small adaptable suite, one bedroom suite above the garage. And we recommend the accessible suite provided from the drawings.
I'll second that.
Great.
Okay. All in favor? Okay,
Democracy at work.
I know. Is there anything else? Yes.
Just quick clarification. So by that result, just to make sure, would the committee prefer to acquire the design of access to the
With the carport.
open was a carpet?
Oh.
There was no carport.
No.
No carport, as recommended by staff, yeah, no
Okay.
carport.
And for the creation that was elected with the design of the small adaptable suite, if I'm correct, we are going with the smallest possible single detached ADU with a loft option,
Correct?
and then the other is a coach house.
Yes.
The three designs remains the same as the public preferred three. So it looks like, to summarize, we have a one bedroom option for sure through the garden suite number one, two bedroom single detached ADU option through the garden suite number two. We have this one secondary suite
Mhm.
The other is, we have a coach house. And the smallest, relatively modest footprinted single detached ADU.
Correct. So are we good? Are we done? Have we done our job?
Done your job.
All right.
Is there anything
Thank
else?
you, everybody.
Is there anything else on the agenda?
No, adjournment.
Next meeting.
Yes, oh, yes, yeah.
Note that the next meeting, the scheduled meeting is October 3rd. We shouldn't have to meet again until then. This will come forward to council for council consideration. Determined if it's the 28th or in September.
Yes, come on.
Oh, through the chair. Sarah, do we know when the BC housing is gonna come down? Like, I know it was in fall when they were talking about their plans and all that kind of stuff, because they're gonna be. Have we gotten any dates on that or still nothing yet? Sorry to put you on the
No,
spot.
that's okay. Which legislative changes was that around what Nicole reported last?
Yes, there was some things coming down with the planning library and there was some different things coming in with,
A fourplex in the back.
X versus a sixplex, all kinds of good stuff was coming down. And they said date to come. It may not have come.
Mhm.
With it being an election year, is it, you talking provincial or?
No, it's provincial, but they've said the fall.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if we've heard anything yet.
I have not myself. I don't know if June has any more information. No,
I think,
we can get back to you. If there's any updates, we can circulate that by email.
Cool, thank
For
you.
information.
okay, Malcolm?
Will our recommendations go to the August 28th council meeting?
We're just going, we're just going through what we have in terms of agenda items. So if we can get it on,
Yeah.
we will. If it doesn't make, it'll be, there will be a discussion of council about the September 11th meeting. So.
Okay,
At its earliest and at its latter would be September.
okay,
At the latest.
all right.
Did you,
And
close the meeting?
not yet.
Okay.
Okay, can I now? Permission granted. Recommendation that the August 20th, 2024 Housing Committee meeting be adjourned at 2:15 p.m. All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Wait.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Hour 15, not bad.